counselors there were not yet aware of it. I already had, and yes, I work in this field, but I already had the information to say, oh, did you get the federal guidelines? Back to GLSEN. Do you know about the Safe Schools kit? It's $25 or less. You can order it online. If the school can't afford it, I'm sure there's some generous parent or community member who would love to order that and drop it off at the local school with all kinds of ideas, because the wheel does not need to be reinvented. We do have techniques, we do have strategies on how to help those that are experiencing this or doing this themselves. How do we create a school, a neighborhood, a community, a culture where this doesn't exist?
So this is one kit. Let me just understand this.
Yeah, GLSEN has it comes in a box, and there's all kinds of resources and ideas, how to have ongoing dialogue, how to help the bullied, how to help the bullies, what to do to work with students and in a school environment. Not that this doesn't happen outside of schools. It happens in the community, it happens in families, but particularly with youth from middle school, and it even starts in elementary school, but developmentally, middle school on, it's so critical.
And schools need to really, like, school is where these kids spend their time, are supposed to get their education and direction. And, you know, really a lot of parents go, you know, they're in school, we'll let the school handle most of their development, which is a bad thing, but they do. And, you know, these schools need to incorporate these techniques to bring about a better way of making students feel more comfortable. That's so detrimental. That's a school's obligation, in my opinion. Like, we had mentioned something about a suggestion box put in the school for anything.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Anonymous.
Anonymous. That way any student can feel comfortable. You know, if he wants to make fun of the school and put on a joke about it, about the school, he could do that. But that will allow someone who's feeling bullied the ability to know that they can walk up to this box and no one will know what he's putting in. It could be anything. And that way he could report something that he's feeling. I mean, I'll go into another story.
Do it.
Yes, absolutely.
One thing that when I was being bullied, should I just talk about my experience?
Yes, please.
When I was young, I generally I got along with everybody, you know, but I got into an argument with a couple guys one time, and and I was hanging out with some cheerleaders, and I got involved in a drama club and all these things. I never got too into sports. I mean, I was good at it, but I just, those were kind of the avenues I went down, music. And, these guys just, didn't really care to like me, and they just felt like they could pick on me. And it might have been a group of like 5 or 6 guys who, picked on me on a regular basis. And over time, that shut me down. And it was, it wasn't the whole school. I got along with most people. It was these 6 people that made me feel like the entire school was against me. And it made me shut down. I mean, I got into goth and darker styles of living and trying to find little groups, and I mean, I eventually found punk rock. And I'm not saying that all these are bad groups, because it saved my life.
I love punk rock.
Yeah, I'm a punk rocker through and through. And I mean, but I was pushed that direction because I wasn't going to fit in with the mainstream.
Yeah. Right.
And so I mean, I went through some bullying, and it tore my heart apart. And when I would go home and I would be crying and I would tell my parents would be like, "Oh, that's a shame. You should stand up for yourself and fight." Or say something or whatever. So then I got into that fight, and I got suspended. So okay, so that doesn't work. So then what you do? My dad told me this, and he said, don't give them anything to bully about. If you think they're going to say something, say it first. And you beat them to the punch. That way they don't have anything to go on, and you just deal with it. Well, I mean,
so you mean you demean yourself? Is that what he was basically saying?
Well, he didn't mean it that way. But over time, after I started saying, yeah, I'm a cheerleader, or yeah, I'm this, or yeah, I'm that, which I really wasn't. But I mean, if I beat him to it, I thought maybe it would help. No, I ended up beating myself up, and then I'm saying it. Yeah. So I mean, that didn't work either. And I went through a lot of trouble trying to find myself at that point. And I talked to counselors. I became despondent in school. My grades dropped. I had to go to a Horsham clinic because I was so depressed, and I was.
That's a horrible.
Yeah, I was out, and I was acting out, and I was angry, and no one understood. And you know what happened when I went to tell my parents? I was told, "Oh, deal with it, or do this or do that." And after all this stuff, like, you don't want to tell your parents. So, and not only that, as a kid, I never wanted to tell my parents that their son was a loser or was being picked on and this and that. I mean,
Right.
I wasn't, but in my head, I didn't want to say these kids are picking on me, I'm a loser, and I'm this and that. So I kept that bullying to myself, and that did a lot of damage. And I became very suicidal. I remember holding razors to my wrist, and just thank God I was too wussy and too much of a coward to do it, because I
think
really
you just have a very strong survival instinct,
yes.
honey.
But I mean, there could have been a lot, and the kids aren't going to want to speak. So I mean, if you see your child, or you see a child in your school that's withdrawing and this and that, there's probably a reason, and chances are that kid is not going to want to talk about it. But it is your duty just to understand that something is going on, and make sure that you tell that child that you love them. Forget about school. You're in my house. I love you. Our family loves you. Your friends love you. You are important to us. We need you. You need to come out of this depression, and that would have helped me out a lot. But instead, I kept it bottled up, which it was obvious I was bottling something up, but I didn't have a way to let it go.
Right.
And well, one, Stephen, your story is very powerful, and I appreciate you sharing
Yes.
it for people to
Yes.
hear that. And we did talk about some of the negative aspects of social networking like Facebook, but one of the very positive aspects is the group that you founded on Facebook, that someone can go on there, even if they don't feel comfortable approaching anybody live and in person, in their family, any of their friends, in their school. They can go on Facebook and contact your group. They can go on Facebook and contact my business page.
I just made it completely private and anonymous, so anyone who joins, they will not show your name, but you can write comments and say, this is how I feel, this is what happened to me, and bullies can do it, the bullied can do it, anyone can do it, and express how they feel, and have a load off the chest. And there's so many people in this group that will go, oh, I got your back. I love you, and you're important, and don't let these people get to you, because it's their problem too. And that's what needs to happen, and there needs to be more places.
Yeah.
And what's the name of it again?
It's called the Safe Haven for the Bullied and Bullies.
Good. On Facebook.
And it's a good point that you brought up as well, that if you are noticing, whether it's your child, whether it's one of your students in school,
Friends.
whether it's your friend, even if it's not about bullying or harassing that you know about, something is going on internally. And it's very easy to slip why don't you check out this page on Facebook, or why don't you check this person out? And you don't even have to have that big conversation, but it lets the person know you're paying attention and you're there to either assist them in seeking help or looking into some other options to address it.
People need to feel like they care, and you know what, like you said, I would love to talk about the effects of bullying. There's emotional, physiological, physical, and spiritual aspects, and I know from my personal stance, it broke me down in every way.
Right.
Emotionally, I felt like nothing. I felt like my life was worth nothing, and that not enough people cared, and the people that I cared about didn't care enough. Physically, it made me weak. It made me, I lost sleep. I cried. My posture went down.
sick.
My anxiety and my depression and everything how I was developing inside was a problem. And even spiritually, I lost the connection with God and with a higher power, feeling like, nothing's against me and nothing will save me. And it took a long time for me to get that back. And, fortunately, I have a spirit in my life very well now, but it breaks down every aspect in such a way that, it reduces you to nothing. And people need to say that when you're bullying someone, you're bringing that person to nothing, and that person is going to feel that way. And if you have to for a second just think about any instant in your life where you have felt like nothing and depressed and it destroys you. You can't do that to somebody.
Right.
Okay, it's just we're all together. We're all people. There's no reason to do that. Just spread love, not the hate.
Right.
And the bullying, I think that, and what I've found is that some folks who are bullying, they're not even actually aware that they're bullying. So some of the ways to know if you are bullying, are you targeting one or a few or a group of people, making jokes, spreading rumors, saying negative things about them? Are you saying things that you find are funny, that other people are at the butt of your jokes. You have other people behind you laughing, but the target looks uncomfortable,
And those
acts
people,
uncomfortable.
Those people that are laughing may be very uncomfortable too, and just laughing because they don't know what to do.
And they don't want to
wanna
be
be
the
a target.
target.
They don't wanna be the target,
Exactly.
right.
So sometimes what seems like it would be in good fun, one should really pay close attention to how is the other person feeling and what is
Right.
your intention in doing this? Are you trying to hurt someone? Are you trying to cause havoc? Is there something going on inside of you that is making you want to put negative focus on someone
Right.
else?
And also, if you're being bullied, you know, I found that I would look more at my bulliers than the rest of the people, and I would also go out of my way to try to appease them,
Yeah.
to try to make them stop, begging them, you know, and I would do whatever. I'd try to carry something for them, you know,
Right.
and really. What you need to do is separate yourself from that group of people.
Right.
'cause
And
that-
focus on the people
on
who
the
love
other people,
you.
exactly.
Make them big and yourself big. And these kind of things happen in all walks of life and at all ages.
Yes.
You know, I know I've had several bosses who have been horrific bullies, you know, and they hold the
Bosses.
paycheck, you know. and-
Absolutely.
Bosses, jobs, family,
Right.
your partner, whether your wife or your husband. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of bullying in that, and it gets transferred to the children. The children see that. And work is a big thing because I've definitely worked for a
Major.
bunch of bullying bosses, and you know, because they got the paycheck and I need job stability, I
Right.
put up with it, and it destroyed me.
Right.
And by the way, if you have a bad boss, you can actually quit and collect unemployment based on bad working conditions.
I wish I had known that.
Yeah, yeah.
Huh.
And also sometimes where we're supposed to be going for our other type of safe haven or sanctuary are religious denominations.
Right.
Oftentimes certain religious groups and organizations target discrimination against people, whether it's based on gender, sexuality, race, ethnicity, behavior, etc. So oftentimes folks are in a religious or spiritual tradition that
Is promoting that.
is
Is.
promoting the bullying by the lack of acceptance, is promoting the self-hate by not accepting
Now
them.
the thing about
We have like 2 more minutes,
Okay,
so I'm sorry.
the thing about that, I don't want to discredit religions by saying that it's all that bad, because the core of just about every religion is about peace
Exactly.
and love, and that it's these people that take it to themselves to make discrimination part of that religion,
That's right.
and that needs to stop, because the religions are fine.
Yeah,
That's right.
Right.
And it
it's-
also can be the cure as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So while we're going to wrap up, I just want to make sure you have a website.
Yes, the interfaith church that I'm ordained with is Ecumenicon Fellowship, and you can find us online at www.ecumenicon.org. And we are a interfaith church for all faith, lack of faith, all denominations of people coming together, accepting of all.
I was reading some of the faiths that you have on your the front page of your website. And
Yes, all
Some of them I've never
inclusive.
even heard of.
We are all inclusive. We are anti-bullying,
Yes.
and we are supportive of all people.
Okay, and we have 1 minute left. So why
Yeah,
don't you?
I want to say that I love you right there. You right there. I love you.
I love
And
you
I've
too.
been, I've been there. Okay? I've absolutely been there. And right now, I'm telling you that I made it through it, and I lived for it, and I made it to the point where I am, and now I'm successful. I have a good business, and it's because I stood by it and I didn't give in to those bullies, and I just had hope that things would get better. And I promise you, things will get better because there's people that care. I care. These people care, and there's tons of people around the world that are going to care. I swear it.